and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impact they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on NAS Watch every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m. So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
Good evening and welcome to NAS Watch. Now, let me first of all say that I told you I will be back, and here I am. I never fail on my words. Now, NAS Watch is a program where we shine a spotlight on the activities of our National Assembly. I am your host, Cynthia Agbo. Now, this program is aimed at exploring the critical role of our lawmakers in shaping the future of our nation. Our priority is discussing their performances, challenges, deliverables to the citizens, and of course, expectations from the citizen. Now you're wondering, I know so much about the National Assembly, but do you really know? Now, the National Assembly is the legislative arm of our government and responsible for making laws that govern our country. It's actually the highest law-making body in Nigeria. It's important to note that the National Assembly comprises of the Senate and the House of Representatives. That is to say, you are entitled to senators. We have 109 senators in the Nigerian Senate, and each of these 36 states, they have 3 senators to them, and the Federal Capital Territory has 1. Now, the Senate is one of the 2 chambers of the National Assembly, and so that means the second one is the House of Representatives, which has 360 members. Now, these members are elected to represent the 360 federal constituencies across the country. Now, so each member serves a 4-year term. Our lawmakers are actually tasked with representing the interests of their constituencies, overseeing the executive arm, and ensuring accountability in governance. Now, some of their key functions include lawmaking, and so creating laws that promote national development and protect citizens' rights. Oversight functions, holding the executive arm accountable for their actions and policies. We have budgeting, approving and allocating funds for national development projects. And then we also have representation, which is very important, voicing the concerns and aspirations of their constituents. This is the part where you say, have they been living up to their functions? Now, let's see what Nigerians have to say. First of all, if their lawmakers have really been living up to expectations, or like we say, have they been delivering? We'll be right back.
The real responsibility is to make laws, good laws, for the good governance of the whole nation. Generally, very, very poor. But there are some of them that are really doing their work. Anyway, to the other one, we give 60–70%. Totally false.
Okay, explain, sir.
They are not transparent. They are not account. In fact, they are a waste. One, their budgets. How do they spend it? Nothing. Go to ministries, para-ministries, agencies. All the job they give now, they say there's a constituency project. Yet, most of the jobs are not done. They collected the money. You see nothing on the ground for the whole budget, for the whole money spent. Nothing on the ground.
It is not transparent. There's nothing transparent about Nigeria.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing transparent about the kind of work I do go out probably, let me say, in the night, almost all the time, in the night. There was a day I was coming from my house to my workplace. So this airport road, suddenly, all the street lights there, they went off. Pure. The next thing I had was siren. We don't know who is passing. We don't know. Siren, crew, plenty convoy passing. Eventually, before I got to my bus stop, the light came up again. So, to me, there is no transparency in Nigeria. So, let me say, to me, my personal idea,
Yes.
the kind of promise, the kind of face they have for us before getting to that seat,
Yeah.
that is not always what they will be giving us after getting to that seat. So I cannot rate anybody for now. To me, I can't rate anybody.
We need to rise up. We are not, we are too sleepy. We are sleeping. We are sleeping. We need to rise up. We need to, in fact, we need to take up our responsibility by standing up and saying no to no. Resist them where necessary. If nothing else, recall them. Protest. Not to protest, not destroying things, so, but at least peaceful protest.
You know, the kind of art we have in Nigeria, or let me say Africa as a whole, is not really aligning with the international countries' heart. Do you understand? Something happened when I was coming, just right now. The woman was trying to enter into the cab I was. She knows practically that the amount she's saying, the driver does not know where she's saying. Yeah. And that is not the real amount of it. Now, she's saying by all means, when she got to the bus stop, she's paying that amount. And everybody knows that kind of heart itself, all of this thing will start from you.
Yes.
Exactly. It's going to start from you. Not before you can, let me say, before you can, as a fashion designer, before you can say you want to sew clothes for someone, you have to be on the best outfit yourself. Okay. You understand? So that people can look at you and say, okay, this person, look at this outfit or her outfit, then okay, let me patronize this person. It's going to make something good for me. I believe before we can hold anybody accountable, let's hold ourselves accountable.
Citizens have everything, you know, to hold their representative accountable. First, what is democracy? It is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So the people are key, you know, to every process of democracy. Yeah. Now, when you send somebody an errand, you know, you have also power to ask the person, you know, about the errand you sent on the person. We said in Nigeria why things are going the way it is going is because the citizens are not participating fully in the electoral process and then in monitoring their representatives. Wow. In developed country, you know, the citizens hold their representatives accountable so that next time when they come to you, you ask them what they did the first time that they went. Yeah. And if they didn't give you a responsive answer that is satisfactory, you have the right, you know, to turn down their request for a second term. So citizens have every role to participate in the affairs of holding their representatives accountable.
Meet the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your representatives at the National Assembly. From lawmaking to constituency projects, we'll take you behind the scenes and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impacts they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on NAS Watch every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m. So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
All right, you heard it there from Nigerians. Now, as funny as that sounds, this represents, you know, the thought process across a wide range of people. If you carry out the same question in another state of the country, you probably would hear the same thing. Nigerians saying, oh, our lawmakers are not doing what they're supposed to do. They are not representing the vigor, the energy in which they campaigned is not how they are delivering. Now, this brings us to the second part of the show. As we approach the point of the year, there is growing concern about the productivity of the National Assembly. Now, several bills are awaiting passage, and citizens are eager to see tangible results. And, well, it's good for us to see what our lawmakers have been up to, but just to give you a bit of information, that's something that happened today. Of course, if you have been following the story of the National Assembly, you would hear that Senator Natasha, the suspended senator, she has been in the news recently for a lot of things, and one of which was her last verdict for today, which was the fact that the court has ordered that the Senate president to recall Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Now, according to the report, Justice Binta Fatima Yako of the Federal High Court in Abuja faulted the suspension of the Kogi State senator and nullified it now. And so Justice Yako subsequently ordered the Senate to recall the suspended senator on grounds that her suspension for 6 months violated the Constitution and also denied her constituent of adequate representation. And so the judge made the order while delivering judgment in the suit filed by Akpoti-Uduaghan challenging her 6-month suspension by the Senate. Now, the question in a lot of people is that, will the Senate listen to what the court have said? Well, we're going to keep our fingers crossed and see what happens on Tuesday. And I am very, very interested in that. Now, we do have a conversation. As a matter of fact, we have two guests joining us on the show at different parts of the show this beautiful evening. And just to create a balanced foundation on what the Senate has, the National Assembly, which comprises of the Senate and, of course, the House of Reps, what they've been up to. One of the things that have caught the attention of people is the fact that they have been, bringing up bills that really, some might say, do not exactly make sense. But the question now is, do they really not make sense? Do they really not apply to Nigerians? If they don't apply to Nigerians, then why are they even brought up at the Senate? Now, there are, according to some persons, we have it on record that a good number of bills have been, brought. And even in a previous Senate, that is the 9th Senate and the rest, especially the 9th Senate, there was recycling of bills into the 10th Senate. That is some of the complaint that people have been making. And of course, between June 2023 to May 2024, it said that the Senate introduced a staggering 475 bills, of which only 19 have been passed, while 416 remain stuck awaiting second reading. Well, some managed to get to second reading and, of course, gets. But let us look at some of these bills. Right? We were at the Senate, and a bill passed by Asukwa Ekpayo representing Cross River. Let us see if this bill relates to Nigerians, if it's beneficial to Nigerians, and then I introduce my guest, and then we get talking from there. Basically, the conversation is about, an overview of the activities of the National Assembly, exploring all sides to it as we lay a foundation on NAS Watch this beautiful evening. Don't forget that NAS Watch will come to you every Friday at 7 p.m. And of course, there'll be a repeat on Sunday at 7 p.m. also. So let's look at the bill by Asukwa Ekpayo.
Distinguished colleagues, my name is Asukwa Ekpayo, Senator representing Cross River South. I rise today to lead the debate on the second reading of the Federal University of Technology Act Amendment Bill 2025, which seeks to amend the Principal Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Technology, Odukpani, in Cross River State. This bill is not just about creating another institution. It is about our shared aspiration to build a Nigeria where no region is left behind in access to knowledge, innovation, and economic opportunities. There are currently no federal universities of technology in the South-South region. And Cross River State, this bill is not just about creating another institution. It is about our shared aspirations to build a Nigeria where no region is left behind in access to knowledge, innovation, and economic opportunities. There are currently no federal universities of technology in the South-South region. And Cross River State has only one other federal university established over 50 years ago. The establishment of this university not only addresses regional imbalance in the distribution of specialized federal tertiary institutions, especially in a region that contributes significantly to the national economy, but also a 50-year gap in federal investment in a university in the state. Odukpani in Cross River South Senatorial District is strategically situated, both geographically and economically, and is at the intersection of key transportation and energy corridors that connect the South-South region to the Southeast and North Central. It is home to the Adiabo Power Station and is very close to the proposed Bakassi Deep Sea Port. Establishing a Federal University of Technology in Odukpani will not only enhance education, but also catalyze regional development, industrialization, and innovation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Nigeria cannot compete in the 21st century global economy if we do not urgently and significantly scale up access to and innovation-based education.
Institutions of higher learning in this country, with a population of nearly 250 million people, we have no alternative than to create institutions of higher learning for our teeming youths, who will be the engine room of development of this country. This University of Technology, Federal University of Technology, is the area to go because technology, like Senator Mongono noted, is ruling the world today. If we don't develop our technological base, we cannot hope to compete with the rest of the world, not to talk of taking care of our needs.
Abdul Ningi, and I am representing Bauchi Central of Bauchi State. Mr. President, I rise to support a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Technology, Odukpani, for the following reasons. For some of us, Cross River is very, very close to our hearts, and it's been a place for all Nigerians. And more so, the current governor of Cross Rivers, Sweet Prince Basu Otu, is not only a colleague, but a very close, confident, and friend. And more importantly, Basu Otu has shown that he has the leadership requirements to be supported. But more importantly, Mr. President, Cross River happens to to belong to the southern part of the country. An ordinary one would have wished that Cross River is also partake
of the Federal College of Education.
Abdul Ningi.
Meet the men and
That was a bill for the establishment of the college education in Odukpani by Senator Asuko Ekpeyong. Now, for those in that region, they would say, oh, this is a good one. But for somebody outside there, what would they say? Is this what we're supposed to be discussing? Now, don't forget that everyone is representing its people. And so their responsibility is to basically put up what is of interest to them. But anyway, it's not for me. It's not my call to make, basically. I do have my guest here to join me, talk about some of the activities and, of course, the bills at the floor of the House. I do have Dr. Khalifa Abbas. He is a public affairs analyst. It's so great to have you on the show this evening.
It's good to be here.
All right. I mean, you've been quietly watching and, you know, assessing what's going on. Let's start with the first part, which is how would you assess the activities of the 10th National Assembly?
Compared to the previous ones, or?
I wouldn't want us to compare just yet.
Well, you have to compare to know whether they're actually improving or actually going back. Mm. If you look at our previous 9th Assembly, they focus a lot of things more in what Nigeria as our people are going to benefit.
Okay.
To me, to my understanding, and this is my personal opinion,
okay.
Since our 10th Assembly, mostly everything is pushed towards a personal, what do you call it, how will I put it, like a personal, not doing anything for the people.
For the people, okay.
More of a personal thing for what is beneficiary for those who are representing the people. Hmm. If you look at all these bills they're talking about recently, is there any good bill to you? You're also a Nigerian that you can tell me, apart from talking about universities and federal, what do you call it? Education is a good thing to talk about. But is it that is our only problem? Are you getting the point? It's a good thing to talk about school and how to establish schools and how we can educate our people. But is that really the only Nigeria's problem or Nigerians' people problem? You're talking about people in this country with hunger, with insecurity, with a lot of things that affect people that wouldn't even allow you to even go to school. So when I hear all this argument, it's well, we can't say anything from here. It's just to talk about what we see. And
we can actually say a lot of things from here, because I mean, a lot of people watching are actually expecting you to talk about, for example, let's use you for example. What state are you from?
Kaduna State.
Kaduna State. Great. I'm sure you have a representative.
You
have a senator. How would you assess your senator? How would you assess your honorable? Does he even speak? Because I mean, if my record serves me well, I hear that there are some senators who never say anything throughout their time in the House. Is your representative like that?
Well, this is more of a personal question
I'm just asking,
than a Nigerian question.
Let us assess your senator first.
Okay, for my senator,
yes.
I don't think he speaks a lot. A senator from Kaduna Central, actually.
Okay.
I don't see him more often. Maybe he does. I don't actually get to see him. But what I'm saying is, not to my own, like, I can't testify to that. I'm not seeing that.
Please let us hear the name so that we can know where to drag from.
I'm not sure it's a good idea.
Okay.
The fact that you are from Kaduna, or if you are from Kaduna, like it's just said now, what we're talking about here is what concerns our people.
Yeah.
And those who he's representing.
Yes.
So those who are from that particular place, they know who I'm talking about. But I have to recommend on there is the person that I represent in House of Representatives.
Yes.
I think for him being a young person, we're not, I don't know somebody I really like in terms of politics.
Okay.
But what he's doing is undeniable. You see him, he talks a lot. To our people, he talks a lot. But to people like us, he talks where he's supposed to be talking. Because at least we see him trying. At least we see him doing it. So if the bills are not being passed, we're not going to fault him. You get my point? But for the rest, see, if you talk about Kaduna, Kaduna is a vast city with so many intelligent people that are up to DAX, if I may say. Look at other places. Like, go back to Zamfara, go back to Sokoto, like go back to places that you hardly see anyone. You don't even know who is that person representing them. And they are called representatives of the people. And they're there every single day. What bill are they passing? How many times? See, you have some senators or some members that will spend 4 years without talking like 2 or 3 times. They're not doing anything. All they do there is just sit down and just with their friends and go back home. Is that what it's called, representing the people? Is that how to represent the people? I don't like. I think to me it's not something I really want to talk about much in it, because like I told you, every single thing about Nigerian politics, there is a problem in it. And the fact that those who are coming to the National Assembly to represent its own people are not actually, they cannot actually represent themselves. Okay.
I think we want to hear more of that.
Well, I think you know what I'm saying, because you've been there. You used to go there, actually. So I think you see more than I see. But what I'm saying is, look at, see, we are in democracy, right? And it is not, Nigeria is not the only country in this world that is doing democracy.
Okay.
Right? And you look at, if you want to look at whether we're actually doing a good thing or not, look at other people. How are they doing their thing? There's still democracy everywhere. So why is our own different? All they think about is how they're going to get the next election, when you haven't actually done anything now. And look at this bill that I saw when they were pushing the idea of having a 6 years, about not 4 years anymore. I think the bill is still on hearing. I think so. I'm not sure.
Well, for the past 2 weeks, that conversation has not been up.
Because it's crazy. How? Like, you have 4 years to actually prove to your people you can actually do it. And you haven't done anything, you haven't shown anything for anyone to say, okay, yes.
Maybe they need more time to prove to
For
people.
what? Time for what? You have 4 years. What are you going to do? To build America?
To build
All you
Nigeria.
have is your constituency to represent your own people. You know what they are liking, you know what they want, you know what they need. It's just for you to actually go there and represent them and make sure you get what what they want and get it to your own constituency. You have issue of constituency project that every single senator or House of Reps member actually have something and they give them money for it. Are they actually doing it? They're not doing it. Because if they are doing it, Nigeria by now would not be like this.
There is a conversation that why is it that most times when it goes through the first reading, for example, this particular bill by Asuko Ekpeyon, in less than how many minutes it had gone through second reading, and before you know it, it was sent to the committee to report back in 6 weeks. And most time people are complaining, okay, fine, this gets to the committee, takes 6 weeks for you to send your reports back, but it's almost like the 6 weeks gets beyond 6 weeks. And after this, so why is it always 6 weeks when these are issues that are supposed to have been addressed? Doesn't
Instantly.
take instantly? Why does it take 6 weeks?
Well, I'm not a member or a senator.
I mean, from your end,
So-
what do you think might be, what are they trying to figure out that can't be figured out in less than 6 weeks?
Well, what I'm trying to make a point. I'm not actually there. I'm not working there. I haven't been there. So all I'm going to say now is what I think it to be. So to me, I think if, like, things about insecurity now, less about somebody raise the bill of insecurity. How can you wait 6 weeks before you can pass the bill? 6 weeks. You get the point. So I don't know what to even say about that, because the thing is, what will be the reasonable reason to say, okay, you have to wait 6 weeks? What are you doing? What is their work? They sit every single week. So why 6 weeks?
You've touched insecurity. We're definitely going to talk about insecurity because part of the conversations that happened this week was on security, and there was several committee meetings on security matters. I think we can actually have that. Another conversation that came up was from the House of Reps. We had a conversation on the query, the Reps query for the extortion by NAFDAC. Now, that particular conversation is very interesting. I think we should just take a look at it before we switch over to our next conversation on insecurity. But let's look at the Reps conversation and query on the alleged extortion by NAFDAC. Let's have it.
What we discovered in those locations of high narcotic substances were things that were way out of what are allowed in the country. For tramadol, only 50 and 100 milligram is allowed. And those are the strains we registered in the country. And what we got from those locations that we mopped out were 225 milligram, 250 milligram, including tafradol, which BBC did a commentary on, and we found large consignment of that in all the locations. In fact, we have sample of some of those things, and those things are destroying our youth. That is what they are taking, and we have problems in the country.
Such of these allegations include: 1, the shutting down of big drug markets in West Africa, especially that located in Anambra State, over non-compliance with the imposition of the payment, or over non-compliance and an imposition of a payment of 700,000 naira per shop. 2, the alleged increments from the 500,000 naira to the 700,000 naira per shop as instituted by NAFDAC. 3, the alleged payments of 2 million naira as administrative charges for improper storage and handling of products in Idumota, Lagos, and Onitsha, Anambra State.
All right, so that's it. The alleged, I'm going to use the word alleged now because this is what the traders are saying. We're not there. But this, having to have NAFDAC, a very respectful body, in this sort of conversation, that the committee have to sit on it. Isn't it something to be concerned about?
Who are leading the NAFDAC? Are they not Nigerians? Are they not?
Yeah, of course they're Nigerians.
Everything in Nigeria is possible. So don't be surprised. It's a big body, yes, respected body, but the issue is who is leading the body, who are working with the body, and what is their own interest. Is it for Nigerians or for their pockets?
Okay. Well, this is the part where we'll say we will keep our fingers crossed and see what the outcome of these conversations at the committee meetings, what it turns out to be. Now, I did tell you earlier on that we're going to be having two conversations. So this is the first half of the conversation. Now, before I let Dr. Khalifa Abbas go, and then we'll bring our second guest to look at the security aspect, because these are some of the conversations that also came up this week. And of course, it is a serious conversation because, I mean, security in Nigeria is a big deal. And we expect that our lawmakers will put so much attention to it. But then, that's not exactly what you see. But before I let you go, Dr. Khalifa, let's look at in few minutes, you know, what are the things you look forward to after now? Because we're definitely going to be checkmating the activities of the National Assembly. What are the changes you are hoping to see going forward?
Well, I'm hoping to see better bills bringing forward, them acting as representative of the people, and then understanding that if they allow somebody to be killed in Katsina, one day it will get to Lagos, one day it will get to Anambra. You get the point? So the whole idea of Nigeria is for Nigerians to be safe, them and their properties. So if you said, okay, it's happening in Katsina, you have one funny thing about the youth being in Lagos or in Anambra, they will be laughing about what is happening in the north, as if they're not actually Nigerians being in Nigeria. And one thing they know is once it's actually happening here, then one day is actually going to be in another place if not taking action on it.
Okay, all right, so we are going to go on a very short break. When we come back, I'm going to be introducing our next guest, who of course is a security consultant. And two things we're going to be achieving when he comes is to look at how his view on the National Assembly, and then we touch on the security aspect. Let's get a different perspective. Maybe, just maybe, he's one of those that believe that the National Assembly are living up to expectations. Don't forget that this is a program where you get to know everything that your lawmaker is up to, and then maybe as the show progresses in the course of the week, we're definitely going to be assessing them one after the other, and then possibly have them on the show to speak to you and answer your burning questions. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Meet the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your representatives at the National Assembly. From lawmaking to constituency projects, we'll take you behind the scenes and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impact they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on NAS Watch every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m. So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.
Are you missing out on interviews, music, entertainment, thought-provoking discussions, and more? Don't sweat it, man. We've got you covered. No matter where you are, be part of the action 24/7, online and live. Caesar Radio.
On Facebook, it's Rapid FM Umahia. On Instagram, it's official Rapid FM. And on X, it is Rapid FM 965. Tune in to Rapid 96.5 FM or listen to us live on our website at www.rapidfm965.com or radiogarden.com.
Better yet, get our mobile app from the Google Play Store.
Catch the pulse of the Southeast on Rapid 96.5 FM, the sound of your city.
Hey, Oyanam, all Caesar Radio.
Meet the men and women shaping
Back is still NAS Watch right here, and I'm being joined by my second guest for this evening. Now, don't forget, on this edition, we're basically laying a foundation for more conversations to come right here on the show, which of course be coming to you every Friday at 7 p.m. I do have Prince Kevin Fifers. He is a security consultant. I would just leave it that way because you don't like the word expert. So let's leave it at consultant. Now, very quickly, Prince Kevin, you've heard what Dr. Khalifat said before. How would you rate this 10th assembly?
Well, in terms of performance, I think when I look at the cost of bills, bills passed so far, about 1,200 bills, being passed, being submitted for constitution, and you have about 10% of that being passed into law, which is about 120 bills. And so, if you look at how much money has been spent so far by Nigerians in keeping them in the house, about well, something close about 600 and something billion for the 2 years they've been there. They've been there since 2023. So, if I do a cost-benefit analysis, they spent about 2.9 billion, 900 billion per bill without achieving much for it. So in terms of performance,
that's a bad investment. That's
a bad investment by Nigerians. I mean, we need to be able to look for ways to recall them or ask them to buckle up. If they can't serve us properly, then they need to leave that place. Now, so rates is less than average for now.
When you talk about recall, and I do remember when the conversation of Senator Natasha came up and there was a lot of recall process. Now, I do remember INEC saying that the amount to recall your representative is way expensive than putting them there. So is that even something we should be talking about?
Yeah, of course, it's something we should be. When we spend so much money to not have as much as expected in terms of the bills, lawmakers are designed to make laws to help us function effectively. But if they've not been fulfilling that responsibility as expected, then it means they need to be recalled. Why do we continue to have costs that do not give us value and not look for ways to pick them up from that place? You look at it. 344 billion spent in a year. Out of that, 160 billion was used to buy cars for these people. For what purpose?
To drive around. To
drive around and feel good. No town hall meetings with the constituent members. No oversight functions effectively done. We've always seen on your mandate we stand. How can you explain a people who are sent to represent the people singing such kind of chant on the National Assembly on your mandate we stand? How do you explain that? Was it just a classroom thing, or a political, jamboree that they went there to do, or they are there to represent the people? It's not on your mandate which shall stand. It is on the benefit of Nigerians that they are sent in there. That is what they are supposed to be doing, and not to go exercise their political, affiliations or try to make the president look good.
This has actually been a cause of concern for a lot of Nigerians because we have our National Assembly, all of them tilting. I have sat in the chamber a couple of times where a senator is about defecting or a reps member is about defecting to the ruling party, and there's so much jamboree in the chamber, so much excitement, like it's someone's birthday, and you begin to ask yourself, is this what we're supposed to be doing? Are we supposed to even be are we even supposed to belong to an affiliation?
That's the reason, the essence for which we need to be able to recall these people. Those who are there were sent in there because, one, the constituent members affiliated or preference to the political party they represented, not a person. Nigeria is not in a democracy where the people truly represent the representatives represent the people. There are people who represent political parties. We voted them in there because of our preference for the political parties. So if a member of the National Assembly decides to, defect, it is my place to say, no, I didn't vote you in for that party you're going to defect to. So if you're defecting, then you need to automatically lose that seat. So if we do not make provisions for that in our current law, then it is now our place as a people to recall them. No matter the cause that is required to take this out of that place, it is worth the effort and worth the value. Currently, we're not getting value for the for what they are doing over there. They've been making some moves. Yes, there are some laws. If you look at the national tax Act that has just been passed into law recently. We know, okay, there's some good things in harmonizing our tax system and all of that. We can give credit to that effect, but there's supposed to be more to be done to that effect. We're supposed to look at accountability. How accountable are they to hold the president to? The president have had so many infractions. By law, the president is supposed to be impeached by now. With so many infractions, he's not been present as to oppose the constitution he swore to, because he's supposed to be the commander-in-chief. But he's been missing in action. We've been having series of killings. There's been more deaths since he came into power compared to the previous administration. How do you explain that? That's negligence on the part of the president. We've not seen the National Assembly living up to responsibility to ensure that they hold the president to account, the executive to account, to say, look, we're not seeing what you're expecting as regards security, as regards food insecurity is on the high increase. The currency is falling on I mean, I traveled recently to East Africa, and one of the countries in East Africa, to my shock, the naira is less than the currency that I went there for. And I was asking myself, Nigeria is the giant of Africa, and we're suffering this much.
Are we still the giant of Africa? Well,
by nomenclature we are. If you can't get that away,
okay.
By nomenclature we are. But we can do better, because we have the potential for being the giant of Africa. 200 million plus people, and with the such kind of landmass, the biggest black nation in the world, we have the capacity. But because we have not had leaders who are responsible to lead the people, we've always had people who I would tag as misfit opportunists in positions of authority. That's who they are, truly. So it's us now that I will blame, the citizens. We need to rise up to occasion and ensure that we fully participate in political processes, in ensuring only those who have quality to represent us are there to represent us.
Let's draw back a bit before we begin to say, okay, let's bring in people who are thinking about our interests. Let's draw back a bit. Election is still in front, but for now, what can Nigerians do to hold their representatives accountable? Because I mean, there's so many projects that needs to go on, but they're not going on. But like the guy on the street said during the Vox Pop, he said, so many constituency projects, but you're not actually seeing them. So what can we do to hold these people accountable? It's one thing for us to talk about it. What can the people do?
Well, the simplest thing for me, what I would say is a few years ago, I started an advocacy on youths we are working for sustainable change. The whole idea is to be able to empower the youth to understand the power behind the voter's card. The voter's card is the most powerful tool in the democracy. It's the only tool that legitimizes the office and the occupier of that office. And so if Nigerians who are eligible to vote, 18 years and above, understand this power, it means what can be done now is simple. Let's go back to our constituents and say, okay, this representative is not representing us very well. Give a mandate, ask for the scorecard. So far, you spent 2 years. Let's see what you have done for these 2 years. How many bills have you brought up to the floor or the chambers of both houses, and tell us this is effort you are putting. How do you come to us to tell us what we need, and we tell you what we need, and this is how you go. So what town hall meetings have you done? How many town hall meetings have you done? As a representative or as a senator, how many town hall meetings have you done? How present are you within your constituents to ensure the people truly give you feedback on what you're supposed to bring on the floor of the house? Are they representing us in terms of accountability and to hold the executive to account and the judiciary to account, because it's actually 3 arms of government, and the National Assembly happens to be one of those arms of government that is supposed to be holding the other arms checks and balances, right? And so if you're not doing this, then it means that you that is my representative, you're not fit to be there. What I have found really boring is the fact that representatives oftentimes believe the moment they are sworn in as legislators, they are superior to the people they are supposed to be serving. We are gradually tilting to a system of monarchical democracy. Today, they say, on your mandate we shall stand. The president is a servant of the people and not the king of the people. As such, he's supposed to be seen as one who is responsible, discharging his duties according in servitude, not in that superior monarchical approach. He's not a king. We have not appointed or we have not elected to be king. Neither has he been elected to be a king. He has 4 years to serve us. Before the 4 years elapses, if he's not doing well, it is the place of those who are represented as the mouthpieces to call the president to order. But unfortunately, what we have seen is a rubber stamp approach that we've seen. Every law that goes into this, everything that passes to the National Assembly is just carry go. We have seen arguments by other senators or representatives fighting so hard to see this doesn't happen. The case of River State is there. How do you explain that the president has the capacity to suspend a governor elected by his people?
By its people.
It's never heard of. That's more like military, autocracy. And it's still going on. Nothing has been done so far. It took them less. They did not follow the process. They used voice votes to approve the president's suspension. It's unheard of.
After it was done.
I mean, after it was done. I mean, it was unheard of. And I'm surprised that we, the people, Nigerians, are just idle, docile, looking at this thing. We're supposed to be on the street, not to destroy things, but to ensure they do not go back there to sit in those chambers and until they do the right thing. Because injury to one is injury to all as a people. I like what Doctor said earlier, talking about the experiences of what is going on in the north and expecting the south to actually respond in that manner. We have been so divided that we cannot stand to operate as a people to hold this people to account. They are only a bunch of persons. We are much more than they are. Nigerians should wake up to understand that those in the National Assembly and the executive are servants, and that they are not superior to us. It's our money that enriches them. We can put that rug out of their hands.
Okay, I think that part, our lawmakers, our representatives need to know that it's our money that enriches them, and so they're there to serve us and do that which they're elected for. I would say I wish we had more time. I had this very important question to ask you, but I don't know what we're going to do. Okay,
1 minute.
In 1 minute, how can the National Assembly solve the gender imbalance? Because I mean, if you go to the National Assembly, you realize that we don't have so many women representation, and that has been a conversation. I think, in 1 minute.
Okay, I think it's important to adopt the Rwandan approach.
Okay.
In Rwanda, 30% is mandatory, and 7% in all, the corporate world. I mean, I just came back from there recently, and I saw the women are like empowered. It's mandatory. 30% of representatives in the National Assembly are women. Mandatory. In fact, the senior president is a woman. And in the corporate world, you have the women occupying key positions, as CEOs and all of that. So we can do the same thing, because once a woman is empowered, you empower a community.
Okay.
And so it's important we look at it like politically, we have women representing us. Those who are duly qualified, not affirmative action. Because I mean, there are women who have been there, like the president wife, sometimes we saw fighting like one of those in the market. And that's not what we want. We want people who are truly going to represent us. Okay. This is not something, I'm not talking down on her. It's something we need. We need people who truly have the capacity. We also see men fighting like, motor park boys. That can stop. Let's get the right people to represent us, and we'll have better representation and a better economy and better security.
Absolutely.
Until that, we're going to be having this rigmarole.
I think one of these days we'll have one of the honorables or senators, and then the first thing we'll ask them is, why do you fight like a motor park boy? I think that would be a very valid question to ask. Thank you so much, Prince Kevin, for having this conversation with us. It has been a great time. Though time is not on our side, but I think we will have to get set to wrap up this beautiful evening. But I do hope that this has given you an idea of what to expect on NAS Watch every Friday at 7 p.m. And so, I mean, you've shared, our guests, they've shared their insights, and of course, wrap up this episode. We encourage our viewers to stay engaged and, of course, demand more from their elected representatives. Until next time, my name is Cynthia Agbo. Do not forget that you can follow us on our social media platforms on Facebook, on Instagram, and on X. You can, mention any of your representatives that you want us to follow up on, and just maybe we would have that conversation. And of course, as the show progresses, we'll give you opportunity to air your view and speak directly to your representative and tell them what you want. I would say good night, and don't forget, the news comes to you at 8 p.m. Bye.
Meet the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your representatives at the National Assembly. From lawmaking to constituency projects, we'll take you behind the scenes and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impact they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on NAS Watch every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m. So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
Rapid TV, rooted in truth, driven by impact.